Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Michael from Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us as our guest this week, someone whose miniature painting skills you might have well seen if you follow any sort of 40k related group on social media. Joining us this week is Chickpaints.
Hi guys.
So firstly, how is everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
I'm bloody knackered. Yeah, I'm bloody knackered is all I can say. But I'm good.
Fair enough. Just a slight disclaimer for everyone listening. We are recording this a little later than usual due to some unforeseen technical issues previously. But the good side of this is that we've actually got some more news to work with. So
much good stuff came out this weekend.
Yes. So, kicking things off, we're going to be talking about the fact that the Raven Guard and Iron Hands got their Codex supplements available for pre-order.
Yes, I've seen a few reviews and they look really good, especially the Iron Hands. Some of the new rules, not to mention the new models, look fantastic, but I think Iron Hands players are going to be very happy with this.
Yeah, I saw a few memes, I suppose, going round about you know that like Homer disappears into a bush thing and comes out as something.
Yeah.
Basically that with Ultramarines players coming out as Iron Hands. Like apparently Iron Hands are just redonkulous.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't remember all the rules, but I think there's stuff like, feel no pain and a heap of other stuff.
Yeah, so their named character, Iron Father Pharos, their Master of the Forge, he gives an aura of 5+ invuln before you've kicked a ball, and that applies to everything he's within like 6 inches of. And also he gets an auto 3 on his repair rolls.
Wow.
So
that's really good. I can imagine people are going to castle up with him for that invuln. Wow. That's, I like that.
Yeah, and he's no slouch either because he's got a super heavy bolter and a super massive power axe. So
it still should have been Stronos though.
I mean, I can see arguments both ways because Stronos is the chapter master. He might not have crossed the Rubicon Primaris. And that's sort of something they explain. Pharos is not a new character. He's an old character who is a bit more the flesh is strong. So he's taken the biological upgrade of the Rubicon Primaris as opposed to more bionics, which is why he's Primaris. Maybe Stronos isn't so sure about the idea of using biology over machines, even if he's a bit more emotional than other Iron Hands. So maybe that's why, because they don't want to canonize the Primarization of Stronos.
Yeah, possibly, or they may not want to primarify every chapter master, perhaps.
Also very possible.
Or there's the stuff that's going to come out at some future date.
That is also possible.
I just had a thought. Since we've had, primarified versions of characters we already had, Marnius Calgar, Tigerius, Shrike, etc. This makes me think that when we get the Imperial Fist and Salamanders once, we're going to get primarified Lysander and
Didn't
Hestan.
I already say this on the last episode? I'm sure I said that I had a feeling this was going to happen when we got Primaris, Shrike, and Khan.
They'll do it. I can't see... If you think about the characters that they have, they'll either introduce new ones like they have with the Iron Hands, or, Lysander will become Primaris.
Well, in fairness, the only reason they introduced a new character for the Iron Hands is because they didn't actually have any characters at all.
They didn't. Yeah, I know. They had none. That's so odd because I can't think of any other chapter.
They had Ferrus Manus and Horus Heresy, and that was it.
That was... Yes. Oh, we know how that went.
So the flesh is weak.
Right.
No, your chapter is just unpopular.
Yeah, whilst we're on Pharos, we should just quickly mention that he is the guy responsible for... now, this is something I didn't actually know about. The whole Iron Hands cut their left hand off and have it replaced with a bionic as a rite of initiation. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is a thing. And Pharos is the one that does it.
Yeah, it goes back to Ferrus Manus again. He had the super necrodermis metal hands, so it was to emulate their Primarch. But apparently, that's what the books say.
Sorry, I just had this really, really stupid thought because I've been watching a bunch of flashbacks to the WWF Attitude Era and remember the Kai and Tai choppy your pee thing. I just imagine, Slaneshi Iron Hands doing the same ritual, but yeah, never mind.
Right, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the Raven Guard now. So, obviously this is Kayvan Shrike's release. We'll not belabor the point about Kayvan Shrike because he's as divisive as ever. But they have given a lore reason as to why he's gone Primaris. So he talks about the fact that he did it immediately and said to the Shadow Captains, you do it too. Because he thinks that the Raven Guard need to be at their absolute best for what's coming. And he's also apparently sent the Raven Guard across the Imperium to basically perfect his skills. Basically just to make him as good as them as good as him, or make everyone else as good as the Raven Guard. I can't quite interpret that sentence.
I mean, I can understand why Shrike basically turned around and told all the Raven Guard, yeah, you better upgrade because, considering how essentially fuck the Raven Guard gene seed actually is. I mean, the fact that their gene seed has such a high rejection rate, they have to use the pure stock from the Terran gene faults anyway.
That is true. Can I just say, you've got all these nice characters and Raven Guard and stuff. The one model that I love is the Phobos Lieutenant. That, to me, is just such a nice looking model.
Oh, the one with the smoke grenade and the skull face?
Yeah, this just looks so ace. I can't wait to get mine and paint him in the glorious Ultramarines colour.
Yes, but alongside these books, we should stress it's not just books and named characters coming your way. You're also able to get upgrade kits for both Raven Guard and Iron Hands, including...
Primaris Mark 6.
Yep, Primaris Beaky helmets, among other things. And you can also pre-order the multi-part Eliminators, which are the Sniper Vanguard units, and they've been given a second weapon option, the Las Fusel,
like a mini deep-striking lasgun.
Yeah, so we've known about them since Apocalypse, because their rules were in Apocalypse, apparently. They're a bit more of an anti-tank option, apparently.
Apparently.
Do you know, I have a question about the... every chapter is going to get, the upgrade sprue and decals, right? But the Ultramarines Primaris upgrade kit, I think, from my point of view, because I love them, that would be nice to get a sort of slightly updated version of that.
I mean, I agree, but in terms of the Ultramarines themselves, like, most people consider that the default kit is designed around the Ultramarines. Like, what, in terms of, stuff, aside from sculpted shoulder pads and that, what do you give the Ultramarines that's unique to them?
The horsetail head crest for officers, maybe?
Yeah, it's also because you get two of everything in the new upgrade kits. So I wouldn't mind, personally, having 2 sets of the upgrade sprues. Decals, yeah, I mean, they're in every box. So, but maybe some more personalized decal sheets, because every one you get is always for second company, and I do third company, so I have no third company iconography, and I would love to see that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm. So where do we go from here? Because, we've got a lot to talk about, and I don't really know where to start now.
Okay, I'll jump in. We had the Belisarius Call novel go on sale for pre-order on Saturday, and I'm very annoyed because the fact that this is yet another case of Warhammer Communities coming soon from Black Library site never being updated. It literally just came out of nowhere, essentially. We knew it was announced ages ago, but this is the first we actually knew of an actual release date.
That is true. I went on Games Workshop website today, and I saw that book, and I thought, where's that come from?
Out of nowhere. It's an RKO.
Yeah.
But you can expect to hear about that in an upcoming episode. I don't know quite how long it will take Rem to read, because I'm sure he's already pre-ordered it. I just assumed
yes, I
that.
have, yes.
So that will be coming probably in a couple of episodes' time, because we booked the next episode, and I have a funny feeling there's not going to be much time for talking about Belisarius Call in there. So that's a thing. But I know where we'll go next. I'll stay in modern events, and we'll go to the Psychic Awakening.
Oh, yes.
Because that's all been coming along in the past couple of weeks. So we know the first war zone that we're going to get is called Phoenix Rising. I know this is old news for a lot of you, but I'm going to get to the new stuff. Hang on. Phoenix Rising is an Eldari-based battle book taking place on the Eastern Fringe. The Imperium Sanctus side, just to the east of the Sautec, as I think that map is trying to indicate, on the Psychic Awakening website, which is a really cool little website, by the way, with a nice animated galaxy map. It's kind of cute. So that's a thing. And accompanying that are releases from across the Eldari. We saw the Howling Banshee miniature at Nova, but we've now seen a Howling Banshee Exarch.
With Inari variation.
With Ynnari variation that got some people very, very royally annoyed. And today, as of the date of recording, we got a Drukhari Incubi Clavex, which I really wasn't expecting in this box.
Not to mention the fact that, plastic Incubi.
Yeah, because Phoenix Rising, sort of seeing a Howling Banshee, you're thinking Aspect Warriors, you're thinking Phoenix Lords, you're thinking, oh, maybe Jane Czar's the feature of all this stuff. And obviously you've got a bit of Ynnari mixed in there, that's fine. But no one was probably expecting to get Drukhari, like pure straight Drukhari, well as Craft Worlds.
I just had a thought. Since some people are saying this is going to be, essentially an Eldari civil war, for lack of a better term, can you imagine if we got Jane Czar versus Ahra?
Ara would be very cool. And the Clave X model in question is covered in broken spirit stones. So...
Jane Czar vs. Ara, yes please. I would like that very much. Very much indeed.
Not least because it would finally update that absolutely awful Jane Czar model.
God, yeah.
It's an abomination to modelling.
I mean, let's be honest, out of all the Phoenix Lord models we currently have, the only one that actually looks, objectively good is Baharov's.
Which, ironically, because that's the same generation as Fugan and Karandras and Malgan Ra and Jane Czar. I mean, Malgan Ra looks fine.
He's a close second. But, when you look at Jane Czar, just looks awkward and, oversized head. Karandras has his baby limb proportions. Fugan just looks bored.
A sermon's fine. I don't have a problem with a sermon.
They do. I mean, this is a really good way for GW to update so many things because, we've been spoilt with Space Marines, and Space Marines are more Space Marines, and some people feel, that their faction is getting left behind. So, it's nice that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's one of those things because Space Marines are obviously going to be the front runners of the format. They always will be. It's the same with Stormcast in Sigmar. But there comes a point where it's kind of Space Marine overload because we know we're getting at least 2 more, if not more, Space Marine supplements, which will come with named characters and more transfer sheets, and we'll basically take up another release slot.
Yeah, and more models as well. So we're still waiting for the Impulsor and then the multi-part Infiltrator / Incursors kit as well.
Yeah, so when you put it all together, that's 5 weeks of releases dedicated to essentially a 2.0 Codex. Not even a new army for a new edition or anything like that. A 2.0 Codex is getting 5 weeks of releases and airtime. When you put it that way, you start to understand why some people are a little bit cheesed off that nobody else is getting anything.
Understandably so.
It is, isn't it? Because you check the news say, oh, there's some new releases this weekend. What are they? Space Marines. And it's just rinse and repeat. I like Space Marines, of course, but even I'm thinking, come on, other things.
It's just like October again, isn't it? Like, happy October, here's some Slaneshi demons.
It's just like when they can cram, like, to use one example I'm quite aware of, when you take in February, I think it was, they pushed out 2 AOS battle tomes in a week. 2 full army reboots were done in a week, and Space Marines need a month and a half just to get a second edition for a codex within an edition. Yeah. But, not here to rant, just an observation as to why some people get annoyed. As it is, we have new Ynnari and Craft Welders and Drukhari coming in Phoenix Rising. Exactly what it's going to be, whether it is going to be that Civil War thing that you were talking about or something else entirely, remains to be seen.
Does it mean we're going to get some, new Harlequin models as well?
I mean, the Harlequin range is all of roughly the same age.
But is any of it
so
plastic,
it would have to be a brand new unit. Yes, they are, I think.
Okay.
I feel like they all came out together as a brand new army, like the Death Jester, the Shadow Sea.
Okay.
I mean, I would not be against more Harlequin unit options.
Yeah, because their codex is very bare bones.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything in the codex that needs an update, though I'm willing to be corrected if the comments know better.
Oh, I do remember something from second edition that someone did make that. I wasn't sure if it's actually an official thing or just something from White Dwarf, but someone actually did make a Harlequin Dreadnought, Harlequin Wraithlord, rather.
Oh, yeah, that was entered into a painting competition.
Yeah, and he actually used the old Harlequin jet bike canopy as the faceplate with a big grin, big Joker grin. Something like that could be cool for a Harlequin army. Just a giant, Harlequin Wraithlord.
Would certainly be very interesting, and how they work in the slow, lumbering Wraith construct into such a fast-moving army as the Harlequins could be interesting. I'm not against
but Wraith
idea.
constructs do, if you look in the fluff terms, they are very quick.
But only in the presence of a Warlock, isn't it, though?
Yes.
With a Warlock or Spirits here, I think, is their official title, are the ones that really work well with the Wraiths. But if you look at it in terms of gameplay, though, Harlequins are, I think, probably, if you look at every single individual unit in their book, the fastest army in the game.
Oh yeah, they're so fast. You're talking pretty much guaranteed first turn combat, I think.
Yeah, and somehow I don't feel that giving an army that has first turn charge the ability to have Wraithlords with first turn charge is very fair. So trying to work that together could be very interesting, and I will see if we get Harlequins. I'm not against it for sure.
In other news, we've also got some new updates in regards to the Sisters of Battle. A new Rhino upgrade sprue's been teased.
Yes, they showed us 2 painted rhinos. One with some doors and roofs and
as opposed to a rhino without
fancy
doors.
rocket launchers. And rocket. I mean, no, it's not. But actually, I think they're actually using the same door and roof pieces in both cases. In fact, to be fair, aside from changing the bits on top, I don't think they actually changed anything between the two. Oh, and they put a sword on one of them.
Didn't they also tease that a 3D render of a hatch for a Deimos pattern vehicle?
I might have missed that one.
Like on the page, there's a 3D render of it looks like a hatch door, like on the side of a rhino or whatever, but it looks like the ones for the Deimos patterns. The old Horse Heresy ones.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the circle ones. I've got some somewhere for my Ultramarines. I quite like those doors.
Interesting I got an upgrade sprue for, a Sisters of Battle Deimos pattern rhino. That would be interesting.
Yeah, it definitely would. We'll see again, I guess, because obviously we've still got bi-weekly updates all the way up to November, so there's another probably 2 or 3 updates still. Probably 3 or maybe 4 more updates to come until the Sisters drop. So they still have plenty to show us if they want to.
And that is November, isn't it?
Yes, they did say definitely they'll be in. Did it say out or on pre-order in November? Hang on.
Well, the Army box set it said it's available in November.
Yeah, it says out in November. So, yeah, what I think it will be is we'll get the Ossiarch Bone Reapers first week in November to be pre-order end of October, come out start of November, and then Sisters will come after that, and then we'll be into Christmas. At least that's my prediction.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It seems like the last few months of this year is going to be crammed with just new stuff,
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys are more 40k invested than fantasy and whatnot, but there's 3 AOS books on the way. Plus there's Phoenix Rising, and there's the rest of the Space Marine supplements, and there's whatever books come off the back of Phoenix Rising, and then there's the Sisters, all before Christmas, presumably.
Not to mention things like Beastgrave and that coming out as well.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Just I'm going to have a big, long talk about Sigmar, and you can't stop me, but I'm going to wait until I have my moment.
Do we also want to talk about Aeronautica?
There's not loads to say here, really. Aeronautica Imperialis is out. The Orc Heavy Bomber is coming. So you've got more options for your Orcs, because I think you haven't really got a really heavy flyer, and they have got in the rules for things that aren't in the game yet. So there's going to be plenty more to come. There's just not a lot we can say about it yet, because, well, we haven't seen most of it.
But what we have seen, it does look like a good game, and, there is a slight tie-in with Titanicus.
Yeah, they're on the same scale. I don't believe there's any crossover between the two games in terms of you can have an Aeronautica game on a Titanicus battlefield, because one's hex-based and one isn't. But
yeah. I'm just thinking maybe to make an interesting game, you could play both, one on the ground and one in the air.
Yeah, sort of having two games running in parallel. Like where one affects the other. So if one side has air superiority, they get a free aerial bombardment stratagem in the Titanicus game or something.
Straight from run. That's it. Something that, that could be a good idea for a narrative game or campaign.
Yeah, I think that's definitely plausible.
What else has there been?
Everchosen's results. Well, most of them. So, the Everchosen top 100 was voted for by us, the public. I hope you got a chance to vote for them. And the judges have narrowed it down to 3, which will then be chosen from, finally, as the top 3. So, as it happens, all 3 models are AOS miniatures. There's a Nurgle Lord of Blights, Flesh Eater Corpse Arc Regent, and the Ogroid Thaumaturge first seen in, I believe, Silver Tower. But they've shown off all of the top 100 in that article, and there's some absolutely gorgeous miniatures in there.
Some people are just so talented. I look at them like gods. One day, hopefully, I can paint as good as they do. It's fantastic stuff. Really good, inspiring pieces of work for painters.
Yeah, I think my favourite, the one that I would have probably picked, is Lady Olinda. She's quite high up in the list of the top 100 if you want to go and find it in the article yourself. But she's painted with all these filigreed robes, and the face mask, rather than being a full veil, is almost sunken back, so it looks like a skull is coming through it. And it's a full graveyard scene underneath her, and it is absolutely gorgeous. That was, I think, my favourite from when I was doing the voting. But yeah, there are an insane amount of amazing miniatures in there, and full credit to everybody who had the guts to go and enter. In fact, I think there is a Harlequin... there's a Harlequin Wraith Knight in here, actually. There is a Harlequin Wraith Knight in this top 100. Or Wraith Lord, one of the two, since we were talking... It's Wraith Lord, sorry. Since we were talking about it earlier. So yeah, it's been a good time for the painting community. I hope you had fun, and good luck to whoever becomes the Slayer Sword winner. Also, there is a Citadel Colour Open Day at the start of November, apparently. That's a thing now.
And what is that for?
It's a Citadel Colour Warhammer Paint Open Day. That they don't really say much. Let me have a look at the page for the event itself, and I can give you a little bit more. It's a paint open day run by the Warhammer events team. So demo pods, paint in take areas, try out contrast, talk to heavy metal, check out some Golden Demon winners, and they'll be crowning the Everchosen winner there and then.
Wow, yeah, I might go to that.
Yeah, it's at Warhammer World if you are in that neck of the woods at that time of year. That's a date.
I'm a couple of hours drive from the holy place, so yeah.
That's very, very fair. What else have we had? Monsters and Mercenaries for Warcry. So you can now get monsters and allies in your Warcry warbands at the cost of getting your warband killed to do it, which is pretty fun. I like that concept in general. Underworld's competitive patches.
Got some wolves.
In time. And yes, Beastgrave. I will come back to the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I have a lot. I nearly said I had a bone to pick. I don't. I have a lot better things to say.
The opportunity was there and you didn't take it. I'm very disappointed in you.
No, because the article took the pun off me.
Don't forget, we have the Demons of the Ruin Storm.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. The 30k demons. So if you want to make some Demons of Chaos Undivided or just want to do something fun, or you're playing 30k demons, of course, then you have...
They look really good.
They make some really good, basis for Demon Prince conversions.
I don't know how big they are, though.
It's the 15mm base, I think.
Maybe. I'd have to see one in person before I knew if it was quite up to the scale.
Which one's the 50mm? Is that the Dreadnought base?
Yeah, because 40mm is what Terminators are on.
Right.
And 32 is what regular Marines are on now. So 50, I think, is...
They are very chunky models, so I think there is some conversion possibilities there.
Yeah, I'm no painter or converter. I'm not going to be an authority on that one.
Fair enough.
But yes, can I have 5 minutes to talk about all things Sigmar now, please?
You have 4.
God damn it. Right. We have a new Underworld's warband. It's the return of the Grot Wolf Riders, or... Yes, Grot Wolf Riders they have to be now. Snarlfang riding Grots. Rippers Snarlfangs, in fact. 3 goblins on wolves. 1 with a bow, 1 with a spear, 1 with a sword. They've got kind of Cossack-like hats, or some of them do.
Are they goblins or are they hobgoblins?
They are Grots, so they are the same race as the Moon Clan. So I believe they are just
hobgoblins
Grots.
actually in Age of Sigmar, or in any form?
I've never heard the name.
Because obviously, the orcs are the Uruks, the goblins are the Grots.
Sorry.
Makes you wonder, what would be a hobgrots or something, I don't know, hobnobs.
Generally, the 3 destruction races are the Ogres, the Oryx, and the Grots. Because the Spider Fang, the Moon Clan, these guys, they're all still Grots at the end of the day, as the core root. So I'm going to go with no, but I'm willing to be corrected. They will be coming to Warcry. Sorry, not Warcry. Underworlds alongside the Beastmen and the Kernothi, which I'm going to pronounce properly before Rem memes me. And that looks awesome. And hopefully we will see a wider Grot Wolf cavalry faction expand on all the return of Doom Divers, Wolf Chariots, and everything that didn't go into Gloomspite Gits from Orcs and Goblins, basically. Which I'm really, really looking forward to. Beastgrave will be out is on pre-order next week, so you can look forward to getting your hands on those Beastmen and Kernothi miniatures. And rewinding a bit, we got more Ossiarch miniatures, and they are the best thing. They are so good. Where are they? I had them, and I've lost them, and they are... Damn it. There we go. So we have the Gothizar Harvester, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a bone harvester war construct, and it is both horrifying and amazing and ridiculous and crazy, and it's brilliant. And we've also got the Immortis Guard, so probably sort of going a little bit more on that sort of Japanese warrior theme with the helms. And they've got that Tyranid warrior aesthetic with the 4 arms again. They've got big axes, big shields. They're the heavy infantry. They are probably the best thing behind chunky heavy cavalry in this game. I love heavy infantry and heavy cavalry, so yes. And I have thoroughly decided that if I get a death army, which I may or may not, it will be Ossiarch, because Mortarch, heavy infantry, chunky heavy cavalry, and heroes as such. Yes. Okay, I'm done.
What was it that Oculus called the Mortarch? You called him the Big Bone Daddy or something, didn't he?
You took one thing away from that conversation and you picked something completely off the topic.
But of course. I have to make you head desk somehow.
I'm sat on a settee. I don't have a desk anywhere near me.
Well, head armrest then or something. I don't know.
No.
Head pillow. There you go. Head cushion.
Oh, one more thing. Gotrek is now in Total War Warhammer 2 to celebrate his release into Age of Sigmar. And yes, Brian Blessed is doing the voice acting again.
Woo! And you can get him free of White Dwarf.
Yes, which actually segues on nicely into September's White Dwarf. Some people have got their hands on this. Officially, for us plebs who don't pre-order, it's not out until this weekend, I think. But But we know we're getting Dark Angels as the main focus, which is going to be interesting to see.
I said a little bit of that. It's more lore rather than game stuff.
Good. That's what I was hoping for, because catching up on where the Dark Angels are with the new Primaris situation and the Fallen probably a bit more runny roundy with Luther's breakout. Yeah, that's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that Primaris are now in the Death Company. No, Deathwing, sorry, yes. Wrong angels.
Yeah,
Deathwing, Death Company, they're all angels at the end of the day.
They did have some loose ends to tie up, so hopefully that will bring some clarity and incorporate the Primaris into the Dark Angels. I've seen some of the painting for the Dark Angels Primaris, and they look fabulous.
I saw one thing saying that, so-and-so was the first Primaris to enter the Deathwing, and so-and-so was the first to enter the Ravenwing, and I'm thinking, how does a Primaris in the Ravenwing work, considering that's, the all-bike company?
So...
Vanguard jump hats can keep up, I guess.
But aren't there no other, assault squads like that in the Ravenwing? It's just bikes and land speeders.
So then
and planes.
That opens the door then for... Once all the vanilla chapters have got supplements, they'll go on to new things for the non-compliant chapters, I think, maybe.
Primaris bikes. They missed the opportunity with the White Scars supplement, let's be honest.
They didn't give it to the White Scars, they're not going to give it to the bloody Dark Angels.
But more people care about the Dark Angels than the White Scars, though. So
yeah, you think about it. Yeah, exactly, because they have their own codex, whereas White Scars have always been kind of on the outside of being popular. So you can't.
True, but they're putting it in that would give them the chance to put it in the main Space Marine Codex rather than give more unique stuff to the non-Codex stuff. When the non-Codex stuff is just been given all of the Codex stuff, it's kind of like there's even more upsides to not doing Codex compliant. So I don't know. I can see arguments both ways.
Yeah, we know this. We know the company. They'll just bring out something completely unexpected, like a big flyer or something.
I mean, to be honest, I'm still waiting for the Black Templars to get a Codex supplement, even though they probably won't. But out of all of them, they actually do deserve one, considering how different they are.
Yeah, they have a lot of models for them. I assume that, I mean, this is an assumption, but they'll all be in the Imperial Fists supplement.
But they're nothing like the Imperial Fists, so they'd still
because the Fists are a Codex compliant chapter where the Templars are not.
Yeah, so they'd have to, if they're going to do that for the Fist supplement, okay, cool, but are you going to give separate ones to the Imperial Fist, the Crimson Fist, and the Black Templars within it? Right. Will the Crimson Fist just keep from what's White Dwarfed, or what?
Oh yeah, they do index Astartes, I forgot about that. I think maybe that's what they'll do, yeah, we'll get the main 6, and then the rest will be in White Dwarf. That's my prediction. Anyway.
And that leaves the Black Templars on the same standing of importance as the Blood Ravens. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, they deserve the supplement. Come on, they've got such a rich history, and yeah, they're so different. They should really be, get their own non-compliant codex.
I mean, last time the Black Templars got a Codex of any kind was what, 5th?
Third,
wow.
No, it was later than 3rd, the Black Templars.
I don't think... there wasn't a Black Templars Codex in 5th.
Because I'm pretty sure there was.
They were put into the Space Marine Codex in 6th. And up until 6th, they just used whatever Codex they had before 5th, which might have been from 4th. But certainly there was no Black Templars Codex in 5th, because I started playing in 5th.
Well, they will get some supplement, because they are not in the new Codex.
Well, that's good to see. I just hope...
Oh, yeah, it was 4th, yeah, but it was used in the 4th and 5th edition, apparently.
It was used in 5th, yes, same as the Orc Codex was,
yeah.
But it was never updated. Sorry.
No.
But I think one thing that's come out of all this Space Marine stuff, and this is the one thing that niggles at the back of my mind, is I just hope that this trend of supplements isn't just for Space Marines. Because... as much as Space Marines are super diverse and need extra stuff because they're so unique and everyone's different and all the chapters are different, and that's great, cool, fine, no problem. But if you just give supplements to one faction, that is even more blatant favoritism and screwy over everybody else. So
do you reckon they'll do things like, Craft World supplements, for example?
They've done it before with the Anden.
Yeah, they will do. Well, I mean, the Psychic Awakening, I think, probably is not just models, but, supplements for everybody.
Yeah, that's possible. I think me being a hyper cynic at times, part of me is thinking, oh, Psychic Awakening, this is a campaign book. This is going to be like Vigilus. What did we get in Vigilus? Oh, you got 2 specialist detachments. That's it. Bye.
I mean, I can't imagine, the Necrons or the Nids getting, their own supplements for, specific dynasties or high fleets. I just can't see that happening. Craftworld, maybe. Chaos Space Marines, we should have had it already, let's be honest. Considering they've already had their 2nd edition of Codex.
Yeah, and that I can understand if Chaos players are... I know Chaos have got Thousand Suns and Death Guard as full standalone codices, but if you're a Chaos player... Oh, hey, have your 2.0 Codex. Right, now we're going to do the Space Marines 2.0 Codex and give them a huge amount of new units and a bunch of new name characters and 6 supplements on top. Oh, Chaos, how you doing? Fine. You carry on giving Space Marines more stuff. We'll just be over here.
They did get some new, remade units, like the new Havocks and some cat...
Lord Discordant.
Yeah, the Shadow Spear stuff. So we got the new
But that was it, though, wasn't it? We didn't get anything else. Pretty much everything else in the Codex was exactly the same, wasn't it?
I think you got Shadow Spear was added in. You got the Lord Discordant, the Master of Executions. The Havoc's got a rebox and presumably a little bit more teeth to go with it. But compared to the Marines, who've got the new Repulsor, which has come from Apocalypse, that's got to go in. You've got the Impulsor, all of the Shadow Spear stuff, most of which has been given multi-part plastic kits on top to replace what's in Shadow Spear, plus Tigurius, plus Khan, plus Shrike, plus Pharaohs, plus whatever characters they get after that, plus the 6 supplements. You start to see that that's a little bit unfair on Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I have, I've got a box of the new Havocs, and I have painted some, and I have a problem with the box because they've not given enough options for all the weapons. So out of the kit, you are forced to have, because some of the guys have, a las cannon or a missile launcher on their shoulder. You don't have enough parts to make, potentially all the models out of the kit. That annoyed me a little bit, but they're still good.
Yeah, fair enough. I just hope we get more supplements for all the factions just to minimise how blatant the Space Marine favoritism is. That's all.
Yeah, like Emperor's Children. I know they want some nice Slaaneshi stuff.
Who was it who said it? Phoenix Rising? Phoenician Fulgrim confirmed.
Yes, the Phoenician. Yes, he is returned. Hear it right now, that Fulgrim.
There, you heard it here first, folks. All this Eldar stuff is just to distract you and just make Eldar players pacified to return a new Primarch! Yay! No,
you sounded like Kirioth.
No, I sound like somebody else. Kirioth isn't super mad about Primarchs. Let's be fair here.
Fair enough.
But yes, moving on. There's not a huge amount left in the news that I think we haven't already mentioned. We've gone through Beastgrave, gone through the Ossiarch books, new releases. I think we've broadly covered it.
More or less.
Final note, if you care about Gotrek, he is the most OP character in all of Age of Sigmar. Have fun. Yeah, he one-shot kills Archaon and Nagash. He is nuts. So yes.
Let's be honest now. He is voiced by Brian Blessed, and Brian Blessed did knock out a polar bear.
Yes, but there's a difference between a bloke knocking out a polar bear and a stunty killing 2 gods.
Did he really do that? Get in a fight with a polar bear and punched it?
Yeah, this was back when he was doing his trek to the North Pole. Apparently a polar bear was cutting into his tent, and he just shouted to his lungs and just punched it in the face.
Oh god, yeah, that kind of sounds like him. That was something that he would do.
I mean, let's be honest, you're not going to get, in a fight with the King of the Hawkmen, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That, Michael, is a Flash Gordon reference.
Oh yeah, I should point out that both instead of this is a everyone makes Remleiz feel old episode, this is an everyone makes me feel young episode.
Yeah, you're so young and sprightly. How dare you be younger? Your youth offends me.
Give me 2 years in a classroom and then come and talk to me.
Do you remember 2nd edition?
Yes, that was the edition that entered me into the world of wargaming.
Yes, we can all reminisce happily about 2nd edition, except Michael, because he wasn't around then. Bless him.
Ah, they grow up so fast.
What edition did he get into again? Was it 4th, yeah? 5th?
I started in 5th. My first White Dwarf was the 5th edition release White Dwarf.
So young.
I mean, I've still been in the hobby for about half of my life and all of my adult life, so it's not like I'm total novice.
I mean, I had a break of 20 years, but in those 20 years, I still read the books. So, I was still on top of the lore, so to speak, but yeah, it had, about 4 years ago, I went into a Games Workshop store that I hadn't been into for a decade or two, and then I saw the new range of stuff, like the Imperial Knights for me was that was it. That unit got me back into the hobby.
Big stompy robots. Yes,
I know, because when I was the last time I'd seen them, they were the tiny itty bitty little ones from Epic.
Yeah, from Titanicus even.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually before Epic itself became a thing. It was just Titanicus, and they added Space Marine, didn't they?
Yeah, I missed that. Yeah, it became Epic 40k, I think, didn't it? And then they added all the
yeah just before 40k had 3rd edition come out. Yeah.
Yeah, because I recently this year I started playing the new version of Adeptus Titanicus, and a friend of mine gave me a big box of Epic 40k Space Marine stuff to put on the bases for my Titans. They look good. They work.
And let us all remember that the best thing about the original Epic was that we got the first models of the Demon Primarchs looking incredibly derpy.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, everything back then looked incredibly derpy.
Even by those standards, it looked incredibly derpy.
Yeah, Magnus Red and Mortarion actually looking like the Grim Reaper.
Mortarion was just the Grim Reaper, wasn't he?
And Magnus Red...
Fulgrim looks absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
The only one that looked any half decent was Angron, only because he literally looked like Satan.
Yeah, he did. Happy memories. I love this nostalgia train.
Now let us all reminisce about the squat land train.
Exactly. What a model. I love the battle reports in White Dwarf. I remember when the new Tyranid Bio Titans came out, the little ones. They were quite fun.
On the Dactylus and the
Dominatrix.
Aerodule or something? Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Didn't I actually have a Forge World model for a while, the Dominatrix?
It did. They stopped producing a few models because I've seen a few reviews on YouTube and they look really nice models. But I guess, it's supply and demand. It's a shame. There's always eBay, though.
That's true. If you want to go for the really old pre-Forge World stuff, do you remember Armorcast?
I do. The Armorcast, they were in the States and they got the license, didn't they, to do... they made Reavers, Warhounds. I think they did...
Phantom Titans as well.
Big chunky things. They look really neat, and they did a really good job staying true to the original, illustrations of them.
I think they were just literally upscaled Epic models.
Yes, they're pretty much that was it, and they did a good job. I like those models. They did a few other things, didn't they? Like they did the first Baneblade as well.
Yeah, and then Games Workshop also did the Metal Thunderhawk gunship that was only available through mail order, and it cost something like £100 back in the day.
Wasn't it so big? It was
so heavy that it would bend under its own weight.
I mean, because it was all metal.
How far we have come.
I mean, can you imagine someone get, angry with you over a game with that and just picked up and just threw it at someone? You would kill them.
You would. I've got some epic 40k metal Thunderhawks. Much smaller, but they'll still take your eye out, I think.
Still a good lawn dart.
You can always get for the metal Bjorn.
Oh wow! Yeah, I had that model.
On a square base.
When all the bases were painted goblin green.
Yes. Good days.
Yes.
Good days.
Yes, square bases, for those who are even younger than me in this hobby, are those things that models from old fantasy lived on. And for a while, apparently some 40k miniatures had them too, before I was around.
It's because they only had the one-size circular base back then.
Right.
So literally all 40k models were on that base, but anything bigger needed to go on a square monster base. I mean, the bike models just literally went on, fantasy cavalry bases.
To be honest, taking bikes off bases for a while was a terrible idea. Bikes should go on bases. They're just much easier to handle that way.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a side point.
Oh, yeah.
So, Rem, I assume you've been reading something, because you can't ever keep your nose out of a book.
Ha ha. Yes,
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
No. But yes, I finally got around to reading Rites of Passage, the Navigator novel.
Awesome. Did we finish Apocalypse's discussion on the last episode?
No, we didn't. The surprise...
Did we want to?
You know what? No, leave it as a surprise twist.
Alright, we'll do it that way.
We'll do it that way. We'll do it live! We'll do it live! Sorry. I wonder if anyone actually got that reference.
I got it.
But yes, first time you actually got something, I actually said, fucking hell.
That's called watching epic rap battles of history.
I don't watch that.
Yeah, I don't watch it either.
We're showing our age here.
Hey, do you guys remember a TV show where you could... they had a team of guys come on and you could control a simulated battle from the past? Do you remember that?
Oh, rings a bell, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but you had you'd go in there with your mates and you would reenact, Roman legion battles or something. I thought I heard somewhere saying it was going to make a comeback. It's one of them random old things that I'd forgotten about, and then nostalgia.
Fair enough. But yes, going back to Rites of Passage. So the basic premise of the novel is that the lady of a navigator house is returning from Necromunda after orchestrating her husband's murder, while she ordered her husband to be killed. I'm still not entirely sure. I think she just wanted to send the power chain here. But anyway, as they're travelling through the warp, they notice that a world is pulled into the warp. And so the navigator's like, okay, what the hell caused this? I'm going to try and find out. But first, my husband's funeral. So she has the funeral and all these navigator houses at the wake and stuff. And there's a nice little reference back to the old William King Space Wolf novels, because as her aides announcing the guests, they point out, oh, so-and-so from House Belisarius is here. And she's like, really? House Belisarius? Mind you, there's only so much time one can spend in the company of Space Wolves before needing civilized company.
Yep, that is a scathing burn on Space Wolves and a lovely reference to boot. I very much approve.
Yes. And basically, this navigator house ends up getting in a trade war with another one, because the lady didn't want to marry off her children to another house who was foreseen to be going towards disaster, so she obviously didn't want to, tie her children down to that particular house. And we find out that during these navigator trade wars, they can use pretty much any force at their disposal, which is why no one messes with House Belisarius, because you mess with House Belisarius, you got to deal with the Space Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, there's only, 6, 7, 8 Space Wolves assigned to Belisarius at any one time, but you piss off the wolves in any sense, and, they're not exactly known for quick, rational, logical, drawn-out thinking now, are they?
No, what do they look like, Ultramarines?
That featured in one of the Heresy novels, The Unremembered Empire. Gilliman had a little squad of Space Wolves to... it was...
Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, it was backup in case he did something bad.
So we don't know if you're a traitor, so if you're a traitor, we're going to kill you. And then Gilliman's probably just laughing to himself, saying, I just had an entire squad of Alpha Legion try and kill me when I was unarmed, and they failed miserably. I don't think you're going to have a chance.
Exactly, yeah.
Also, I got vented into space by some word bearers, and I'm still here. You really want to go, mate?
I'm Rabute Gilliman, and I can breathe in space.
Yeah.
Who does you think he is, Batman?
He's a transhuman, super duper 10,000-year-old guy.
Well, he's not 10,000 at this point, though.
He's a demigod. Move on.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Navigators.
Yeah. So basically, as the story unfolds, it turns out that the reason that a planet was sucked into the warp was due to a chaos cultist effectively conducting a ritual to summon a demon that was big enough to swallow an entire planet.
I'm going to let you finish, but then I have questions.
Of course, yeah. And the reason as to how he was able to summon this demon is because the ritual only lasted... Well, the effects of the ritual only lasted long enough for the demon to swallow the world, and then bye-bye. But to do this, he needs to get 8 Navigator warp eyes. So he was basically going on a killing spree, killing certain Navigators, carving out their eyes, and then using them in this ritual. And in the end, with the aid of a rogue trader, the Lady of House Brabantus ends up foiling this last ritual as the demon itself is being summoned to the point, they look up in the sky and you can actually see the demon looking down at them with its massive eye, where billions of screaming souls can be seen from it. It's like, oh shit. But, at the end of the day, Imperium wins and the Chaos Cultist is...
Yay, the good guys always win, but then the Imperium is...
But when are the
good guys?
Well, are the Imperium the good guys, though?
Yeah, it must be very confusing on a battlefield when you can't decide if you're bad or good.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if people talk to me about Warhammer, just like, these are the different factions, and these guys fight for the Imperium, they're the humans, and they trying not to sugarcoat the fact that they are a theocratic, autocratic, tyrannical hell dictatorship.
Catholic space Nazis.
But that's...
I've heard worse summaries.
That's
is,
the
you nailed
Imperium
it,
in a
David.
nutshell.
Yeah, trying to explain that and to people and say, but they're the good guys in air quotes is like, yeah, maybe...
It's not so much they're the good guys, it's just that they're the least worst.
Quite so. Right. Can I ask some questions now about this?
One second, I just want to point out that if you want to point out who's the good guys, just say the Salamanders. They're the good guys.
Yeah, they are quite good.
Fair.
Now you may ask your questions.
Right, okay. First off, 8.
Yes.
8 suggests Khorne.
Yes.
Was there any reference to Blood for the Blood God at any point?
No.
Or any indication that it was anything to do with Khorne at any point?
No.
Right, okay. That's hopefully just a coincidence then. 2. Since when have demons been that big?
Arguably, it could have been something akin to a minor god. I mean, remember, Malice was summoned into the material realm by the Sons of Malice. So it could have been something akin to a minor chaos god.
There are planets in the warp, in the eye, that are just basically a big giant demon.
There's one planet in the warp that's literally just a fat guy.
Yeah, that's...
I'm not even joking,
there is.
is.
Yeah, I read about that.
Okay. Yeah, because when you were describing it, it made me think, hang on, are they summoning a fragment of the god itself to pull them in? But then, obviously, with no reference to Khorne, I wasn't sure which chaos god it could be. But obviously, it could be some minor, major/minor, major compared to demons, minor compared to gods entity that also is part of Chaos Undivided and yet has never been mentioned heretofore.
I mean, there are countless thousands of minor chaos gods. Because you got Manas, Nakoho, Zuvasin, that's 3. Hashut, 4. If you want to try and count the Great Horn Rat, maybe he's there in the warp somewhere. And the warp does connect 40k with fantasy, so the Horn Rat will be there somewhere.
Hashut, as in the god of the Chaos Dwarfs?
He was described as being a Chaos God.
Right, okay. Missed that one. Obviously a bit before my time, Chaos Dwarfs. Okay, yeah.
He was a Chaos God symbolizing fire and greed.
That makes sense. That makes a
and darkness.
Sense.
But that's more vague. Everything's fucking darkness, let's be honest.
Yeah, because Chaos just has to be an edgelord. Yeah. We will see whether they decide to go anywhere, if this book gets a sequel or whatever, we'll see. But certainly an interesting premise, and seems like it was well executed.
It was, yeah. And to be honest, I was actually very tentative at first, considering, you don't really get many stories focusing exclusively on the navigators. So I was kind of unsure how they would go about it, but this novel was pretty much mostly, very, lots of, double dealing, backstabbing politics and stuff like that. So, lots of plotting and scheming, and it's very, very interesting. I do recommend it.
Good.
There are some flaws here and there, but I give it a solid 7.
Excellent. That is good. Is there anything that you've started that you want to tease the viewers for next week?
I have started the Sermon novel because I've been meaning to read that for ages. So I thought, if I can start it.
Okay, that could be interesting to talk about some Eldari business, because I think that ties into Jane Czar, so maybe a slight slidey context for Phoenix Rising, whatever else we get before next episode.
What I do like about this, from what I've seen so far, is that there are flashback scenes to when a Sermon was, before he became a Sermon. Back when he was just a normal guy, pre-fall. Which is quite interesting, so you see the rise of the Doomsayer cults and stuff like that, and, seeing the departure of the Exodites and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a sermon, for those who don't know, they're Phoenix Lords. The way the Phoenix Lords work is they're basically a dominant personality in a spirit stone that an Exarch can step into and basically be possessed by when they put on the armor.
Apparently not, according to this now, because as early on, a sermon dies, then he's resurrected, and he sees the body of a dead guardian next to him, and apparently this guardian gave their life to bring him back to life. And I'm like, this has gone against pretty much everything I've known about Phoenix Lords and how they work.
Yeah,
it's always been an Exarch.
But then again, Eldrad was with these particular guardians, so I'll just blame on his shenanigans, because it's fucking Eldrad.
When Eldrad is involved, the man's basically a necromancer at this point.
The man's basically a plot device. The only person who's more of a plot device is Evrain. Evrain is a MacGuffin at this point.
Sadly, yes, and hopefully she makes a little more than a cameo in Phoenix Rising, so we can start to get a better sense of her as a character and more motivations, because the Inari novels did not leave a good impression on you from your discussions on this show.
Ghost Warrior was okay. It just went a bit what the fuck with the the Gene Stealer Patriarch of Cain. That kind of went, huh? But it still made more sense overall than Wild Rider, because that was just batshit insane. It's like, yes, let's have pre-War of Heaven Eldari and Necrontyr fighting together against demons of Slanesh. What?
Now I've gone cross-eyed.
Exactly. It's like, okay, either this is a massive retcon or Gav was on some extremely strong hallucinogens when he wrote this. And if the latter is the case, please let me know what they were so I could try some.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
But yeah, what about you guys? Have you been reading anything?
Does the national curriculum count?
No.
Then no.
I just finished the Ravna trilogy. I would recommend them to anybody. They're a fantastic read.
Do you need to read Eisenhorn in order to read Ravna, or can you read them standalone?
I would say, yeah. I mean, they are standalone novels, but there are a lot of references to the Eisenhorn books. So, because that's what I'm going to do.
It's the sequel series, isn't it? Essentially,
it is. Yeah. So I'm going to go and listen to the Eisenhorn trilogy. It's just to give, because some of the characters carry over into the Ravna series, so there is some context that is lost, but it doesn't really affect the overall story. And it's a fantastic story.
And then you've got the Ravna versus Eisenhorn books as well.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Because after that, there's some books I want to read, because Ravna does go after Eisenhorn. Tries to find him.
He goes as far as his wheels can take him.
Yeah, I'm confused really, because, they say that Eisenhorn is dead, but obviously, no, he's just hiding somewhere.
They should have just gone after Chevak. That would have been more interesting. It's like, because, go after Chevak. So what did Chevak do? Oh, he killed a whole squad of Grey Knights using a baby.
What?
Yes, I remember you talking about this a while ago, and I remember getting very confused.
Yes, he killed an entire squad of Grey Knights using a baby. Granted, said baby, well, technically the baby was more of an embryo, but still counts as a baby, because it's, not an adult. and Granted said embryo was that of an Omega Minus class blank.
Oh, okay, right.
So you have to admit, it's more entertaining to think they just picked up a random baby and started beating the Grey Knights over the head, while the baby's making squeaky toy noises. Just imagine that. Just imagine. An Inquisitor beating a Grey Knight over the head with a baby making squeaky toy noises.
No. No. We're going to move on.
That's hilarious. You fucking know it.
It is disturbing and terrifying and has probably scarred several viewers for life.
This is 40k.
It's the grimdark. Come on.
Exactly. Also, by the way, did you see someone on Twitter actually did do a picture of Draconian going noot noot, like we suggested?
I did. Yes, I saw that.
I've forgotten your name, but thank you for doing that.
Yep, and while we're on artistic credits and admin, shout out to Scarlett of Warp Time Radio, who commissioned an artist, and again, I forget the name, I'm really sorry, for a piece of work concerning Remleiz and myself. Basically, my character desperately trying to stop Remleiz from Ian Watson shitposting, which was amusing. I'm not sure if we'll put it onto the video, but you can certainly find it by the links in the doobly-doo if you need to.
That does remind me, however.
It was...
For those of you unaware, Scarlett from Warp Time Radio is also going to be doing a live stream reading of the Ian Watson novel Harlequin once she hits 2,000 followers on Twitter. So go and follow her on Twitter. You can see out the artwork there, and then you can subject them to the torture of making them read an Ian Watson novel live. You know you want to.
And disclaimer, I will not be partaking in this for the simple reason of I am a teacher. I am not able to put that sort of content anywhere where anyone who knows me and can be taught by me can find it. So, I am not involved. That is not cowardice, that is me saving my job. So...
Which is a fair enough excuse, let's be honest.
Yeah, that is the best excuse I'm ever going to get. This will cost me my job if I do it. But while we're talking about other content creators and all the good works that they do, shout out as well to Snipe and Whip, who completed their 24-hour charity live stream for Mind Out, an LGBTQ plus mental health charity. I got involved in that stream for an hour and a half or so during the worst game ever, Clive Barker's Jericho. It was a really, really good stream. I didn't get to see much of it, but I'm sure the VOD will come out somewhere eventually if you want to see it for yourself. And they raised a really good amount of money, something like 4,000 US, maybe about 3,000 UK after fees and whatnot. So huge congratulations to them. Yeah.
And what since we're doing shout-outs, I've actually been asked by the guest of our next episode to announce their presence. It's not a Black Library author, sorry to disappoint you, but our next episode will see the return of Disharmonia, who has kindly asked to leave your questions regarding her views on the Conrad Kurz novel, because as you may have seen on Twitter, she's not exactly been a happy bunny about it. And after being fed a series of live updates regarding her thoughts on the novel, it's been very entertaining, so... Yes. But anyway, is it time for questions?
Yeah, just give me a moment because my phone's been trying to ring off the hook. So I'm just going to send a message as I've killed 2 minutes.
Okay, do you know What Happened to That Wrestler song?
No.
Damn. I'm still waiting for Michael to do the duet with it or something. Because we tried to get Frederick Knudsen to do it, but he didn't know the song either. Never mind. But yes, suffice to say that the Conrad Kurz novel is not particularly... I mean, you've heard my thoughts on this show, where I gave it, at best, a 6 out of 10. At best. That's being extremely generous.
And pulling several points up for the ending.
More so for pulling up several points for the fact that he actually included Joe Sahal and Krieg Aesopus in the story.
Oh yes, it's Plague War where you yank the points up for the ending. Sorry, wrong one. Right, okay, clear. Let's do some questions, shall we?
Yes. Question for Michael, were you singing the What Happened to That Wrestler song?
No. Okay. Okay, question here regarding some Necrons. If the Necrons can rewind time, which is something that is vaguely referenced in Knights of Krark, that they have the ability to technologically regress societies, which is what they did to the humans and the orcs on a world.
They do have chronomancers, yes.
Yes. Does that not mean, therefore, that they could time rewind enough to reverse the effects of, say, the Great Sleep or the Flare virus? And if they could do this, why not just get all the Necrons from the War in Heaven back, reanimate their forces to full power and do stuff?
Plot convenience.
Yeah, I mean, chronomancy is not an exact science for the Necrons. Orican the Diviner, he just tweaks time, by jumping a little bit backwards to make sure that certain events line up so that his prophecies line up.
I mean, you can always argue as well in regards to altering time, ripping the fabric or ruining the space-time continuum and destroying the entire universe, potentially. And plus, when you start playing with time travel, you start getting into, a lot of shit. It's a very poor thing to rely on for story purpose. I mean, let's be honest, just look at what happened with Mortal Kombat 11. They brought in time travel, and it basically was a complete shit show of a story.
Time travel, leave that out of everything. It just... Yes, time travel.
Yeah, I think that is a very fair way of explaining it.
Otherwise, we're going to start getting, okay, it's the Battle of Ullanor, with the Emperor and Horus fighting against the Orcs. Oh no, an entire legion of Necrons just appeared out of nowhere. You get that shit.
Yeah. Right, moving on. If Russ had actually done what he was meant to do, and been able to bring Magnus back to the Emperor on Terra, what would the Emperor have actually done about it?
Probably slapped him a few times, showed him, look, this is what you did. You broke all this shit. This took, centuries to do, and you broke it. Now go and sit on the Golden Throne and contain those energies while I can go and fix this shit.
The Golden Throne, a.k.a. the Naughty Step.
Yes. And he has to wear the dunce cap.
It's interesting because, obviously, we know why Magnus accidentally broke the Imperial Webway project. It's because he was trying to warn the Emperor about Horus. So, if Russ does his job and brings Magnus, is Magnus going to be able to get a word in edgeways and say, but wait, Horus... this has happened. Lorgar has turned Horus to the sides of the things that you were warning about. Is the Emperor just that's going to make the Emperor even more
It would change
mad?
the entire story because then the Emperor wouldn't need to sit on the throne to close the warp tear, so he could then go out and face Horus himself quickly, and then that would bring the entire storyline to an abrupt end.
Not to mention as well, when Russ came to Prospero, Magnus ordered basically for all the defences to stand down. Because he thought Russ was just going to take him. So if Russ comes down, picks him up and takes him, he could be sitting in his cell, Russ comes to visit him, and he could just, tell everything to Russ, and then Russ could probably go, okay, I'll tell your side of the story to Dad.
I think maybe he would have killed him. I think maybe...
I mean, Russ and Magnus were not friends by this point.
Exactly, yeah. And he didn't...
I feel like Magnus might have said all that to Russ, but Russ was like, nope, not listening, don't care.
Yeah.
And just basically frog-marched him out. Maybe he'd listen, but given what happened to Archreach Secundus, where they nearly had a fight, I feel like it's unlikely.
Yeah, but let's be honest, who hasn't nearly had a fight with Russ?
The people who've actually had a fight with Russ.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of... he's like the one Primarch with the most beef against him.
In some ways, yes, that is true enough. Right.
He clearly didn't get his rabies shot then, did he?
Question for me. Since the Tau commander in Deathwatch Shadowbreaker was using a Riptide, do you think we'll see a Riptide variant of commanders on the tabletop? I'm going to go with no. Because the reason a Riptide was used in that situation is because it was the last line of defense, and also the technology is too experimental. Like, the Nova reactor is still not stable. It's still killing the pilots when they use it. So, not until they've stabilized the Nova reactor. So, never.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Broadly my assessment. Question for Remleiz, and I'm going to quote this directly because I'm not sure what this 100% refers to. Is the Void War series got cancelled?
It's been temporarily postponed.
And this is not the same as Quest for Knowledge, is it?
No.
Right, okay. This is something that, admittedly, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just going to throw this out and the comments can help. This question asks, is it true that when the Necron pylons were reactivated or activated, the Death Guard, and I quote, lost their connection to the Warp and Nurgle, regained their sanity, and were horrified by their own appearances? If so, which book does this happen in?
This is the first I've ever heard.
I've not heard that before.
Yes,
I don't think
same here.
they would. I think,
Like
after 10,000 years of corruption, I think they have lost all of their, of who they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, if it's true, then it's a fascinating point for discussion. If someone has seen this somewhere, please let us know in the comments, preferably with a page reference, just so we can find it for ourselves, or a quote and whatnot. Otherwise, well, it's a thought experiment. Right, okay. In your opinion, who are the best and worst chapters to come to your rescue in your time of need?
The best... Yes.
I'd say the best would be Salamanders, because they would do anything to save civilians. Yeah. So you're in good hands with them. Worst ones, Marines Malevolent, probably.
Or Grey Knights. To be honest, Grey Knights have a habit of, wherever they go, Imperial citizens...
Yeah, they don't come to save you, though, do they? They just come to kill the demons and kill everyone else.
Exactly. So if they're there for that reason, you're going to die.
Iron Hands are not great either.
No, they're not.
Okay. Let's see here. Question for Remleiz. Since we know what happens to those Eldari who get lost on the path of the warrior or the path of the seer, is there any lore on what happens to those who get lost on other paths? For example, the path of the artisan or whatnot?
Not that I've seen, personally. But that's not to say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, same here. And there's a follow-up question. How frequently amongst the Eldar is it that one of their kind gets lost on the path? Is it 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000? And how do we even quantify it? Do we quantify it like percentage per path or percentage per 1,000 population? How do we even quantify that?
To be honest, I'm not even sure. I think it'll probably end up something along the lines of like 5% of a craft world's entire population will become lost on a path at some point or something like that. I don't think there's actually been anything to know for certain. I mean, it may be different for different craft worlds. Like, I can imagine, say, on Biotan, for example, more people get lost on the path of the warrior than, anywhere else. Whereas maybe someone like, Eandon, they may get lost more on the path of the seer. I don't know.
Yeah, it will definitely vary by craft world, by path, by time period. There will be a huge amount of variance in there. But given the only individuals we see who are, air quotes, lost are the Farseers and the Exarchs, it suggests that the warrior path takes a lot more people than the Seer Path does, because Exarchs are generally seen as squad leaders, whereas the Farseers are leaders of entire armies.
Yeah.
Not that there are many aspect warriors to begin with, but that's beside the point.
No.
Right. This is an interesting one. Are there too many intentionally unanswered questions in 40k?
Can you actually have too many intentionally unanswered questions?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. That it keeps that sort of mystery going. If things get explained, it can be anticlimactic.
Definitely. Definitely you need to have unanswered questions, because otherwise people like Remleiz and I don't have a job. So having that room for homebrewing and speculation is absolutely brilliant. However, the question is more about, is there enough information to allow us to do that in certain spheres? Like, there's loads of information on certain people, but what is life like living in a Tau city? We have nothing. Nothing. At all on the matter, aside from a few snippets seen through the eyes of generally not Tau-aligned humans.
Well, there's also a couple of scenes in, Crisis of Faith, let's be honest.
Which are told from the outsider's view of Farsight and a demon. So again, you're sort of seeing this outside as viewpoint rather than being right in the middle of it. There's very little to go on. So there's almost an argument, we need a little more in some places to allow the creative juices to start flowing in a way that makes sense, rather than, okay, here's a sentence, now go and write an
That's a good point. Maybe an idea for a series of books is like a day in the life of, a civilian, or a day in the life of someone, on a Tau world.
Yeah, but as I think it might have been Aaron Devsky-Bowden put it, the reason nobody writes it is because nobody buys it. They have to assume people are going to buy them, which is why they write Space Marines all the time.
Exactly, because to be honest, if you're going to spend some money on a book and it's just going to be about someone's day-to-day life, it's not really interesting unless you inject some horror or something.
Yeah, I think the closest we got was probably that short story about Lucius possessing the body of that guy who, manufactured landmines for a living. Because you did see elements of that guy's day-to-day life, and then it's like he's slowly getting sicker and sicker, and so, surprise, Lucius pops out of his chest.
That's definitely... Oh yeah, I forgot that book was a thing. Right.
Back, when a standard Imperial factory worker works 18 hours a day.
Yay! Pseudo-slavery!
That's a long shift, damn.
7 days a week as well.
Quite. Right. Okay, next question. If the addition of Space Marine DNA to the Tyranids biomass caused the creation of the Tyrant Guards, which is what it believably did, what could we get from the Tyranids absorbing Primaris DNA?
Mega Tyrant Guard.
Yeah, like Tyrant Guard Prime, like we get a Tyranid Prime.
But what's the...
Belisarian Furnace.
Yeah, some of the organs maybe they could do,
Oh, shine a light. You realise what the Belisarian Furnace does, doesn't it?
Temporary resurrection, essentially.
Yeah, that's the get back up machine.
It's defibrillator organ.
And we give that to Tyranids.
It's like, hey, we just killed a Swarm Lord, and Swarm just gets back on case saying, I live, bitch!
Just...
It's like fighting an entire army of Hellpit abominations.
It's Rejack, isn't it, for Nids? That'd be interesting.
Oh, good grief, that's terrifying. Right, since we were talking about sisters earlier, who designed the Penitent Engine? Was it the Mechanicus or the Ecclesiarchy/Sister Battle? And if it wasn't the Mechanicus, does that not make it Techno-Heresy?
I have no idea. I would assume it's adopted from some STC. Which is probably the only reason why it was actually tolerated by the Mechanicus if they didn't make it. Because, the Mechanicus have been shown to begrudgingly tolerate, STC modified constructs like with the, Land Raider Crusader.
And Redeemer.
And the Predator Annihilator as well.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe it was
So-
found by the ecclesiarchy, the sisters, and then some sort of deal was made with the Mechanicum. And then,
Even though the two sides don't really get on.
yeah, there is a slight clash of
So
faith.
you should worship the Emperor. It's like, but we don't worship the Emperor. We worship the machine god. It's like, you're heretics, borderline. It's like, our religions are allowed. You
Yeah,
can't touch us. We're necessary we're necessary for the
Yeah.
Imperium.
You
It's
put it like
damn
that, the sort of the clash of interests. Yeah, that would come out as kind of like heresy, really.
Let's be honest, in the Imperium, everything is fucking heresy.
Yeah.
You know, you cough during a church sermon. Heretic! I wouldn't actually be surprised if that was actually the case.
Yeah.
No.
The divinity of the Emperor's words causes him to retch in his throat. He is impure and therefore a heretic.
Oh, the ecclesiarchy is a mess. Right.
Everything in the Imperium's a mess. It's only momentum keeping it going.
That is arguably accurate. Okay. Remleiz, does it bother you at all that the Liber Chaotica doesn't have page numbers?
Yes. Because
Why?
Because it makes it very awkward to look up a specific thing. You have to actually scroll through actual pages and try and read stuff rather than just looking for the page number. It's awkward for referencing.
Like, isn't it... I'm assuming it has chapters, so surely you could just
Yes,
reference
Korn, Zinch, Slanesh, and Nurgle. And other.
it. Right.
Those are your chapters, and each one's about as long as a book entirely.
Ah, right, okay, I'm seeing the problem now. I am seeing the problem.
Because I'm looking at the old softback versions of each individual volume, and each one's about the size of a modern codex. Now imagine a chapter the size of an entire codex. And you've got 5 of them in this.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You've got 5 chapters, each a codex long, in a book about the size of a Horus Heresy black book.
Oh, no.
Good luck finding a specific page for reference.
Quite
You
so.
bastards.
That question is a weird-ass meme.
Is it asking you to sing What Happened to That Wrestler?
No, it's arguably worse.
Is it asking you to sing the entire thing a cappella?
Yeah, do it.
No.
Let's hear it.
No.
Come
Okay,
on,
I'm
do it.
just gonna read the question. That's just easier. As an imaginary scenario, assuming you wished to do so, you are given unlimited funds and any chosen method to create a Horus Heresy adaptation. You can do whatever you want with it. However, the one catch is you must cast the hammiest Nicolas Cage that is possible as one of the Primarchs. And it must be obvious. Who do you pick?
Fulgrim, obviously. Yeah, the most hammy and overly dramatic Primarch.
I mean, that would be quite the makeup job to go from Nicolas Cage to Fulgrim.
Yeah, sounds good though. I think, yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. It's a meme question. I never know whether to do meme questions or not. Okay.
I mean, let's be honest, which other Primarch could you cast Nicolas Cage as?
Point taken. Point very, very, very much taken. Right.
I can't exactly imagine him being cast as Rogel Dawn.
No, you'd have to,
Because
Yeah.
he's too interesting to be Rogel Dawn.
he'd have to be one of the traitor Primarchs, without a doubt. Or not. Or maybe, Corax, perhaps.
No, Corax is too melancholic, and Nicolas Cage isn't exactly known for being,
No.
A depressed actor. He's more over the top and ham-fisted.
Conrad Kurz.
Oh, God, no.
Right, let's move on. In regards to the Primaris Marines of gene lines such as the Imperial Fists or the Raven Guard, do they suffer from the same lack of functioning gene seed implants, such as the defective Betcher's gland of the Imperial Fists, or perhaps the albinism of the Raven Guard? Or did Core manage to reintegrate these failed implants and fix them in their entirety for the new generation?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? Because, lore-wise, we are told that he has, fixed all the gene faults, but then these things make them what they are.
And we've seen that he fixed them all as a lie because of the Red Thirst and the Curse of the Wolfen.
Yeah.
Basically, what it looks like's happened is that he's reverted the gene seed to a state as it was around the time of the Great Crusade, back when some flaws existed, but they weren't as prevalent as they were now. So back in the Great Crusade, the Raven Guard would suffer the flaw of the Sable Brand, which caused some members of the chapter to, have black eyes, pale skin, and black hair. The Blood Angels had the Red Thirst. Space Wolves had the Curse of the Wolfen. Back then, the Imperial Fists still had all their organs because they were stoned to have them by the time of the War of the Beast, because their gene seed hadn't degraded that far yet. So I think, basically, if it's a flaw that existed during the time of the Great Crusade, they would still have them. But if they came after, they were least likely to have them. That's my take on it anyway. We might know once the Raven Guard Codex is actually released, it might actually say for definite.
Yeah, I feel like definitely the Imperial Fist supplement is going to be the real checkpoint, because the Raven Guard's albinism goes all the way back. Like, that's always been a thing with them, so that could easily be left alone.
Even though it only affected a few certain members as opposed to everyone.
True, whereas, as you said, the Betcher's gland defect is a post-heresy problem. So whether Cole fixed that. Because bear in mind, some of the Primaris will have had gene seed that is older, because some of them were created 10,000 years ago. So they wouldn't have had the defects, because the defects wouldn't have had a chance to develop yet.
True.
Yeah, Cole had access to the most purest of the gene seed of the legions.
Of all 20 legions, no less.
Yes.
Quite so. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the Fist supplement will be sort of the final piece to the jigsaw, but the Raven Guard hopefully will help us out as well.
I always found it quite funny that Cole was given, here's all 20 samples of pure, undiluted, untainted primal genetic material. You're only allowed to use 9. Why did you give me all 20 then?
Presumably, hang on, who told him he could only use 9?
Gilliman.
Ah, right. Why again?
Gilliman said, because you can only have to use the 9 loyalist legions because the others are traitors and they're lost in the dam, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so here's all 20 Primarch gene seeds. You're only allowed to use 9 of them, though.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, he gave him the relic, didn't he? Like, the Sang Primus Portum, I think its name is?
Yeah.
Like, maybe he couldn't literally take the other 11 out of the Sang Primus Portum.
Possibly.
Maybe it's a case of, right, I would quite like to just give you 9 vials of gene seed here, but I can't, because Dad was an idiot and decided that interchangeability was a terrible idea. So here's all 20, however, I put a big red cross on the ones you're not allowed to use. Don't use them, or I'm going to be mad. Bleh.
No,
and then he went and died.
No, yeah, exactly. Gilliman died, and Calder's thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do all of them now.
Allegedly.
That has not been confirmed.
I mean, when Korax was given, all of that gene seed back in the Horus Heresy, the Emperor didn't say you're only allowed to use Raven Guard, because, they're studying hey, I've been studying this gene seed, the Perturabo gene seed has a 20% increase in resilience, while the Lehman Russ one has doggy DNA. And the Alpha Legion one's lacking in growth hormones. Which is stupid, considering that Alpha Legionnaires are the largest of the traditional legionaries, so why are they lacking growth hormones? I have no idea.
Ah, Farius, you are confusing. Okay, hang on. Since the Man of Iron from Blackstone Fortress met what he called the real Omnissiah, is it possible that he met the Dragon of Mars?
Maybe. Either he met something else entirely different completely.
Which is also very, very possible.
He could have met that one tech priest who was literally an oven on legs.
Wow.
Either or the Gonk droid from Star Wars, who knows? There you go, there's your Star Wars meme.
Alright, fine. Right, okay, question for Rem. have you played/watched the cutscenes from the Cybertron games? And if so, what did you think of them, of the story and the designs of the Transformers, especially compared to Bayformers in the Bumblebee movie?
I mean, let's be honest, everything is superior to the Bayformer movies. They're just terrible. I liked the first two games. I wasn't entirely too keen on Rise of the Dark Spark. I thought that it was unnecessary to go between the full Cybertron designs and then to the Bayverse design. That just seemed unnecessary to me. But yeah, I thought they were pretty good overall. I like what they did with Grimlock and the Dinobots, even though they killed off Sludge for some reason. Why did you kill off Sludge?
Oh,
he was awesome.
Did you see the sketch, speaking of you and Dinobots, did you see the sketch that someone posted in my Discord?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they posted it in mine as well.
Okay, good. Just making sure you'd seen it. Okay. Admin-based question. Is there any chance for us to start sharing links about the news we talk about? Funny you should say that. No, because you might know just from doing this show how much we jump around between different things. We go all over the place. Like, I don't have 4 hours to spend on the cutting room floor chopping in images and text boxes, and I literally, it will treble my editing time just to do that.
I mean, suffice to say, most of our news sources come from warhammercommunity.com. So that'll probably be the best source for images and to read more in depth in regards to these certain news portions.
Yeah, and it's quite funny, actually. I actually went back and looked at the first couple of episodes of the show, and some of the comments back then was, hey, could you cheat the algorithm, put snappy titles of things you're going to talk about on the show? It's like, no, because we talk about so much that it will be completely misleading in what we're talking about. It's like, oh, some things never change. I'm
now reminded of certain videos like, XXX, a social experiment, prank gone wrong, sexual. Terminator, big humongous Terminator daddies. We can have that in the title.
It's your episode.
Okay, episode 79, humongous Terminator daddies for no reason. Gone sexual, social experiment fail. Am I down with the cool kids yet? Is this where I go yeet and start dabbing or something? I don't know.
Oh God, no.
Actually, it's funny you should say something like that, because I was in GW, it was 6 months ago now, and they were talking about the Savage Orcs and the Big Stabber. And the guy, I quote, said to the GW staff, the Savage Orcs just basically yeet this thing at their enemies. And I was like, oh no, you didn't just say that out loud, did you? I'm supposed to be one of the young ones, and even I was wincing.
I'm just reminded of that, of Steve Buscemi going how do you do, fellow kids? How is that Fortniting?
Quite. Yeah.
Fortnite was a mistake. I think we can all agree.
So, whilst looking into Lorgar's backstory, I read a comment talking about if he wasn't corrupted, he would have become, the Emperor's bannerman of the Imperial Truth. Is that a thing? Have you read that anywhere? I don't know. Or was it a comment? Oh, a comment, it's not a piece of lore, but the idea of Lorgar would have been sort of the flag bearer of the Imperial Truth had he not been flipped, and Russ is often known as the Emperor's executioner. So going down that line of the Emperor's X, what would the other Primarch's titles have been? So Guilliman would have been the Emperor's diplomat, according to this commenter.
So we know some of the titles from the story artifacts. Guilliman was the diplomat, Dawn was the keeper of the Emperor's house. So you can just imagine the scene of, Rogel Dawn making the Emperor some breakfast or something. Russ kept everyone honest, quote unquote. Vulcan was the Emperor's weapon maker. Kurz was, quote, necessary.
That is a roast.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, it was Vulcan who said that, so appropriate to be roasted.
Magnus was always destined to be
the backup plan, the wild card.
Yeah. Korax was the Emperor's edgy teenage son.
Yeah, the slightly moody one.
It's not a
The
phase
Emperor's
dead.
Shadow. There you go. The Emperor's Shadow.
That makes more sense, yeah. Remember who else?
Angron would be quote-unquote expendable.
The
Sad as that
Emperor's
is.
weapon. Because he was just nothing more than just a blunt instrument.
Yeah, the Emperor's Blade and Horus would be the Emperor's Hand as War Master.
Yeah. Alpharis, the Emperor's Eyes. As a spy.
Yeah. Khan? Hunter?
Yeah. I'd say Hunter, yeah.
Mortarion?
Yeah, that's a hard one. He's
Purifier?
His
he's associated
arguments
with
against anti-vaxxing, I don't know.
it's his doctor.
Scourge. Scourge, maybe, for like wiping worlds clean.
Yeah, the Emperor's disinfectant.
Cleansing blade. I don't know, cauterizer. I don't know. Who else is left?
Yeah.
Morgar, the Emperor's Herald.
Sanguinius,
Sanguinius. The Emperor's Show Pony.
the good-looking one.
The Emperor's Favourite.
Fulgrim, the Emperor's... I don't know.
Mirror? Like reflection? Because you're trying to emulate the Emperor all the time. I don't know.
The Emperor's
Anyway,
Pride.
Yeah, I like that. The Emperor's Pride.
Given his shit was called the Pride of the Emperor, that's quite good, actually. Right, let's
Ferris,
move on.
we've got Ferris. The Emperor's Sandwich Maker, there you go. Because he likes to eat sand. There we go, we've got to mention about Ferris Man's eating sand. Now we've got to do is mention about him catching a las cannon beam in his hand and crushing it.
Segueing from bad science to more bad science. Question for me. What is the closest thing to a stasis field that the laws of physics would allow us to build? Well, I'm going to use this as free promo time for my new series that I've started on my channel. Tactica Tutorialis. Thank you, commenter, for that pun. Where I'm going to attempt to take questions from comments and basically science the shit out of them. So, yes, if you want to get involved with that, then you can do that. As concerns stasis fields, permission to talk physics for 5 minutes?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Right. Stasis technology, what does it do? It effectively freezes something in space and time, particularly in time. Space, not so much, because it does hold someone in position, but it does it temporally, not spatially. But let's use space and time together, because space-time is a continuum, and you can't talk about one without talking about the other. Shut up. Right. Stasis in space is actually not as hard as you might think. It's impossible, but it's not as impossible as some other things. Because we have this thing called laser cooling and atomic traps. We can, using a setup of three-dimensional laser arrays, basically 6 lasers in a grid, you can trap atoms in place at supercool temperatures and prevent them from going anywhere. However, it only works on the atomic level. We can only hold a few atoms at a time. Trying to expand that to spatial relevance, to the many meters scale of people and space marines, yeah, that's a different kettle of fish entirely, because you've got to hold an entire atomic system in the 10 to the god knows how many atoms. Temporal things doesn't work. You have to bend the laws of space-time, and to do that you need mass. That means you're making black holes, and that is a very, very bad thing, so no. There is nothing to a stasis field we can build. The nearest we can get is atomic traps for spatial freezing, not temporal. There you go, I'm done.
Well done.
This is why I love doing science.
Now, when you said you were going to announce your physics-based answer question series thing, I was going to be a dick and suggest, could you answer the question of the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
It has to have at least some tenuous link to Warhammer, so no, I wouldn't have answered that.
Damn. Okay, what's the airspeed of an unladen squidgen? There you go.
Depends on volume and mass and density and...
Not if it's a African or European squidgen.
The day we have orc infestations on Terra is the day we have problems.
I do want to point out, you have seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, haven't you?
Yes, I'm very aware of the joke, and that's why I was trying to just be dismissive of it and move on.
So if you want to see Michael sing What Happened to That Wrestler, leave a comment below. Because we will make him do it one day, I swear.
No, because I value my credulity and credibility as a teacher. No. You see, that is my get out of jail free card for doing anything embarrassing or potentially dangerous in future. I need to keep my credibility in my job. It's so easy. Free wins, yay. Right.
That's a very weird question.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. What was the original intention of the Butcher's Nails implant before it was used on gladiators to turn them into killbots?
I don't think we ever found out. I think it was just there. Either it was modified from something else, or they just...
Wasn't it Xenos technology or something? Like originally?
No, it was considered to be Dark... The original Butcher's Nails were considered to be Dark Age technology.
Right, yeah.
So it probably... To be honest, it might have been something prior to the development of the STC that they just so happened to have plans for some reason. Who knows? I don't know.
There's then several questions that go on about Tau and Psychic Awakening and Psychic Tau and how what they're going to do for the Tau and the Psychic Awakening in terms of are they going to get the Nikasar, new Psychic Auxiliaries, Gavesa, actual Tau Psychers, and if so, what will that mean for the Empire? There's a bunch of questions relating to Tau and the Psychic Awakening.
I think they might, instead of getting Psychic Tau, they might develop technology that can do that. That kind of seems a bit more Tau to me, for them to be able to do that. Like psychic battlesuits.
Force pulse rifles.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. I don't think they'll develop their own organically made psychers.
I mean, it's not impossible for Tau to have psychic abilities, because we know they have a presence in the warp. It's not huge. In fact, in Shadowbreaker, I believe, Karas compares the psychic signature of a Tau to comparing a candle to a human being something like a city on fire.
Plus, let's not forget, Farsight did have those, precognitive visions, which could be something being a latent psyker.
That is certainly not impossible. There's a lot of... Well, that could also be due to warp exposure from, staring into...
That's a good idea, though. You could say that there are latent psychers in the Tau, and then something happens that awakens them.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically like the Great Humanitarian On button in M22 or so, before the Age of Strife broke out. It's basically the same thing. Psychers sprung up all over the place, kind of at once.
Maybe the Ethereals are soon to become Psychers.
Good, that will have a reason to kill them. Yeah, if you can tell, I really don't like Ethereals.
I imagine not. You play Farsight Enclaves.
Correct.
I do like the Farsight. I did Tau last year, very briefly. They were quite nice to paint, some Farsight models.
Agreed. The battlesuit miniatures, once you've got a handle on how to paint them, the battlesuit miniatures are lovely to work on.
It's a lot of edge highlight. I mean, I love to edge highlight, and a lot of people know that. That's sort of like one of my things that I like to do. On battlesuits, it's a lot of edge highlighting, but it is really worth it. It does make them pop in the cliched use of the word pop, but it does.
Yeah, my tower midnight blue, but with like ice blue edge highlights around the bits on the armor, and then it's done with a gloss varnish, and you really can pick out the edges.
Oh, nice! I like that. I do like bold highlights. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up actually copying the scheme and using it on my Idoneth Deepkin as it happened. But that's mainly because like the Idoneth Deepkin was very similar, and I just didn't have the paints to do it the GW way, so I did it my way. And it worked.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And a segue, just for me, you can catch a lot of my painting on my Instagram.
Yeah, I've had my promo, so yes, you take a promo, go.
Yeah, Chickpaints. So Instagram is Chickpaints, all one word. And now I do Twitter as well. It's Chickpaints88. I did want to have Chickpaints, but it was someone else took it, and it was an inactive account. So I had to just put some numbers before my name. Oh, and YouTube.
Fair enough.
I have a YouTube channel. I forget. Chickpaints, again.
Yes, there will be links in the doobly-doo. As always, when we do these things, there will always be some links in the description, which means that you can find everything, because that's the way we do things.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. So if you want to, if you like what I do or you want to see some stuff, links in the description.
Yep, and to those who ask about who does the artwork and who does the intro, because I see comments in every episode about the intro. People always love talking about the intro and how awesome it is and all that. Yeah, links to the creators are always in the description if you ever need to find them. So, because we're good and we credit our artists.
And on that, though, I think this comes to a pretty good place to end the show this episode.
Yeah, there's the odd question here or there that could be interesting, but it's getting tight. It's getting a bit late, and I haven't really stopped for the last 12 hours, as I'm tired and I'm hungry.
Yes. So, on that note, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much to Chickpaints for joining us this episode.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome.
Absolute pleasure.
Until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
This has been Chickpaints from Chickpaints.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.